Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Rosie and today's video is going to be a highly requested one. It is the story time of our engagement and I'm very late to the party. I'm not wearing my engagement ring. I got my engagement ring. I just take it off when I wash my hair because it gets caught. So I'm late to the party. We got engaged on the 15th of May 2021, so last May, over a year ago now. And I'm finally making the story time video. It was delayed because I wanted to share the photos because we had a professional photographer and I wanted to like show you guys those as well. And so we've got everything back and I'm finally getting around to it. So thank you so much for your patience. And without further ado, here is the story time of our engagement. So Leo and I have been together since 2020 in about September. And then we moved in together in December of 2020 and then we got engaged in May of 2021. So like a fairly short time period, of course, but when you know, you know. And basically we spoke about the future very regularly and we both like agreed that we want to get engaged, we want to get married and be together forever. I am a bit of a control freak, super type A. I need to be informed. Surprises give me so much anxiety, and for me personally it was important to not be caught off guard, and Leo was super open to that and just really happy to go with the flow, and I really appreciate him for that. So he actually was the one who came up with the day, May 15th, because it's perfectly in between our two birthdays. My birthday is in February and his birthday is in August. Really love the month of May. And it worked out perfectly because it's a Saturday. It was a Saturday. And so he said to me, we're gonna do this, we're gonna go away, and it's not gonna be like him asking me, it's gonna be like us together agreeing to get married. So, and I know it's unconventional and it's not a lot of people's cup of tea, and that's totally fine, but this is how we did it and I love it. Like I honestly couldn't have done it any other way. Like I'm so grateful for the way that we did it. So we plan a trip. I think I was the one who said, oh, Gold Coast hinterland, that, you know, it's far enough away that it's a holiday, but it's still, you know, it's like an hour drive from where we live. We both really love nature and the outdoors, and he really loves camping. I don't love camping, but I love being outside and being in nature. So we went to O'Reilly's Rainforest Retreat in the Gold Coast hinterland, and I had been here before but I hadn't stayed there, and I just remember, it's been years since I'd been, but it's basically, yeah, a rainforest retreat, and there's lots of villas there, there's a restaurant, there's a vineyard. It's kind of secluded, it's really far from everything else, and there's this beautiful infinity pool and this treetop walk, and I was like, oh, this place looks amazing. And I asked Leo what he thought and he was like, oh my gosh, like that place looks insane. So we went ahead and booked. There were like luxury villas that were really expensive and had like their own jacuzzis, and we were like, nah, like we will just get in like a little cabin that'll be like cute and crazy. So we, yeah, opted for a little cabin because you can camp there or you can have the luxurious villa, and we did like the middle. And so after uni on Friday, I made sure I had my nails done. I can't really remember. Yeah, they were just like pretty short and like neutral pink, and I had fake tanned, and I was ready, and we were so excited. Basically just to have like a beautiful holiday away together at like this amazing location. So the first stop when you're driving down to O'Reilly's is the vineyard, which is like a good, I think it's maybe like 20 kilometers away from the actual retreat. So we drove down there first. Leo had organized prior because I didn't know when he was going to ask. I didn't even know if he was really going to pop the question because we'd already sort of said like, we're going to get engaged this weekend together. No one's going to ask anyone. We're just going to go not engaged and come back engaged. So he had organized like a basket and a tasting board of wines for when we arrive, and so we literally just sat in the vines, beautiful, like literally just surrounded by wine trees. It was so yummy, and this entire board of all of their like famous wines to try. And it was just so romantic, and we were just lying there and sipping wine and having our picnic. They actually had llamas there, or alpacas or llamas or something, just like so random, but like no other place I'd ever been before. So we patted the llamas slash alpacas and got back in the car and drove for another maybe like half hour or maybe even longer than that to the actual retreat. And we check in. Our cabin is so beautiful. It's not fancy, but it's like wooden on the inside. And what I really loved about O'Reilly's is that, this is not sponsored by the way, obviously. What I really loved is that they have like this huge communal space, and it's so old, like it's been around forever. And basically there's this huge library inside. And I'd seen photos of it and I was like, oh my God, I could literally live in there. I'm obsessed with libraries. I'm obsessed with the aesthetic that was the O'Reilly's library. So there's this big fireplace, and it's almost like a little museum. Like there's just all of this stuff from over the years, and it's a very well-stocked library as well. And there's just like these big old leather chairs, and you just like sit by the fire and like a little blanket and just read. And there's lots of board games and card games, and like it was just my cup of tea. It's also connected to the restaurant, and I think we had a little package where we got the cabin and then we got breakfast. I think we got breakfast, lunch and dinner, or breakfast and dinner. Anyway, we had food included, and I was like, oh yeah, you know, there's one restaurant and it's not fancy, so I was just kind of like, oh yeah, like it'll be fine. The restaurant was incredible. So once we check in, we then head to dinner, and it's really busy, which is crazy because it's so far out of anything, and you wouldn't think that you would come there if you weren't staying there, because it's hours to get there. Anyway, so we had dinner. I can't remember what we had, but I do have a lot of photos from that weekend, so I'll just like insert them. So yeah, we have dinner. It's amazing. We wake up nice and early the next morning and do the treetop walk at sunrise, and I think it was like 2 degrees Celsius. It was so cold, and I am not used to the cold at all. I don't think I packed really any warm clothes. I think I just packed like a pair of jeans, and it just like did not cut it. So Leo lent me like his track pants and like tracksuit top, and I was just like walking around in a men's tracksuit. Like it wasn't a look. Not us being the people that wake up at 6 a.m. for a sunrise hike. Ah, so beautiful. Smile. So we're at the first viewing deck, which is very high. Like we've had to climb up that ladder, and then there's one above us. But it's beautiful. We did the treetop walk. It was so beautiful, and I do have photos of that. Like they're like ingrained in my mind. Like fresh face. It was so beautiful, and you like climb up this little ladder and like look at this lookout. It was a bit rickety. It was like kind of scary because you're like, is this gonna break? We're like so far off the ground in these treetops. I think it was at lunch that day where I met like one of the servers, and how did we get talking? It came up, which it would never usually come up in normal conversation, stripping. And turns out she's actually a stripper, and I was dancing at the time. Just like really hit it off. She was so lovely, like literally the best server ever. So shout out to you wherever you are. She said, oh yeah, like what's the occasion? We were like, oh, like this is our like engagement weekend, like ta-da, we're engaged. I didn't have a ring or anything at the time. I just had like this band that I just like wore, and I just like wanted to wear it and be like, ah, we're engaged. Because it's sort of a tangent, but I had designed my ring, this ring, and I think Leo put the order in January or February perhaps, and they basically ensured that it would come on time. They were like, there is literally no way it wouldn't make it. And then Leo was like, perfect. And then we booked the holiday for May, knowing that the ring would have arrived. And basically 3 weeks before the holiday, they tell him, oh, it's not going to come on time unless you put a rush on it. So he had just ordered this ring 3 weeks before, had to put a $600 rush on it, even though they told him it was going to come in time, in order for it to come in time. It's Friday, we're leaving Friday night, it still hasn't arrived. And so we don't have the ring for the weekend. But to be honest, like I was not phased. I was like, I don't care, like whatever, I've got a ring that I love and it's coming eventually, so it's totally fine. So I just sort of like had like this little band, I'll insert a photo here, that I wore for the weekend. I was like, we're engaged, we're engaged. I was like, oh yeah, like we're engaged. And she was like, oh my God. And she just like went off. She was like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I'm gonna like get you guys an upgrade. I'm gonna see what I can do. Do you want to see the wedding locations here at O'Reilly's? And I was like, oh my God, like yes, 100%. And so she literally said, okay, like here's my number. I'm not working tomorrow morning. I'll like take you on a tour, like an unofficial tour of all of the different wedding locations around the O'Reilly's rainforest. And I was like, oh my God, talk about going above and beyond. So we then, and also then she speaks to like reception and says, hey, can they get an upgrade into the villa? And at that point we were kind of like, oh, you know, like we'll do one night in the villa. Like we're happy to pay for it, even though it was insanely expensive. And the reception lady was like, no, you can't just book one night. It's like a 2-night minimum. So we were like, oh, okay, no worries. Like our cabin's totally fine. And then this server was like, oh, please, like it's their engagement. And this receptionist as well was like, oh my God, it's your engagement. Why didn't you say so? I'll see what I can do, just 1 minute. And yeah, sure enough, she books us into a villa just for one night. I think we end up paying like $300 or $400 to upgrade from the cabin to the villa for that one night. And I was like, oh my gosh, what a dream. And so we check into the villa. It has the most incredible view of the Gold Coast hinterland. It has its own little spa jacuzzi on the deck, which is amazing because it's so cold. And yeah, it's basically like this huge loft villa type thing with its own fireplace, with this huge double bed, a beautiful kitchen, and like it's just so amazing. And when we arrived, there is strawberries and chocolate and champagne and a congratulations note, and it was, yeah, so lovely, so beautiful. So like the service there was unmatched. Then we have a tour of the wedding venues, and I didn't really think that we would get married at the Gold Coast hinterland. I always sort of wanted to go overseas, maybe to Greece or Italy, to actually get married. But after looking at it, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is a contender. It's so beautiful here. And so we went on a big tour of like basically the grounds and all of the, like one comes into my mind. It was basically like you're walking into the forest, like it was dense forest. And then you sort of like went down this hill that were steps, and there was like this huge sort of amphitheater cathedral thing down in the rainforest, and like these big ledges, like steps that had like wooden planks on them, like seats. And then at the base there was like this big wooden area, and right behind it was like a waterfall, and like 360 you were inside the rainforest. Like it was, and like you look up and it's just like rainforest. Because ever since I was like really young, my ideal wedding aesthetic destination was always sort of like Forks, Washington, Twilight vibes, just like surrounded by green and trees and nature. Just like really tall trees, not much of like a view kind of gal, but just like surrounded in earth, and get married inside. Go down to dinner again, and the food there was so good, even though it was like part of a package, and the breakfast was like a buffet. Like there were all the trimmings. So dinner, you basically choose off a menu, an entree, a dinner, and a dessert. I'll insert photos of the food. And then after dinner on, I think, yeah, Saturday night, we go down to the library, and it's just us, even though it's this huge space and it's the Saturday night, no one else was there. And we read a little bit, we play some games, and there's actually this huge grand piano there, and both Leo and I play the piano. And so we're just playing the piano, and it was, oh, it was just such drinks. It was so cozy, and it's one of my favorite memories ever. And so he sort of gets up, and I am still just playing, and I don't even think really much of it. And I turn around, and he's on one knee, and he says a little spiel about he wants to be together forever, and will I marry him? And the way that he said it was so beautiful. I can't remember it verbatim. I think I actually wrote it down somewhere. But I was actually I was surprised. I didn't see that coming. And so I was like, oh my God, like, of course I will. So I guess it was kind of traditional in the way that he did ask me, and I did say yes. And then there's this guest book in the library for people to say like, such and such were here this date, had a great stay, or thank you, or whatever. And so we wrote in there, Rosie and Leo engaged, 15, 5, 20. one. Every time we left our villa and came back to the villa, there was a fresh bottle of champagne and chocolates and strawberries. I was like, oh my gosh. And they had like printed a little place card saying like, congratulations, and oh, it was just so lovely. And then, yeah, basically after that, we did a couple of like the bird watching tours. We're kind of like an old retired couple doing a couple of the activities that O'Reilly's puts on. And we did like a little hike around, and the waiter that actually like did everything for us, I'm so grateful to her. She gave us the pin code to get into the infinity pool and the day spa, which was like reserved, I think, for people more important than us. And she was like, oh yeah, like here, just like act confident, like walk in and you can use it. The day spa, because we would have got a massage or a facial or something, but they were fully booked, so book in advance if you are going there, if you want to get a service at the day spa. But the one of the other wedding venues was sort of behind the day spa in front of this infinity pool that looked out onto the entire hinterland, and it was really raised, sort of like our view from the villa. And so we went in there like really sneaky. There was literally no one there. I didn't think we were really doing anything wrong. And I really wanted to get a photo because the view was insane. The pool was beautiful, and like I wanted to document the whole weekend. And it was not a heated pool, and it was definitely less than 10 degrees. But I did it for the gram. I got in and I got a photo, and I got Leo to come in and have a photo with me, and I literally got like, I think a maintenance man to take the photo of us. And we went back to the room, got the new bottle of champagne. I think we ended up leaving with like 7 bottles of champagne, and brought it down to sort of like the lookout near the pool. And he had picked flowers from the garden. Again, I don't know if that's really allowed. And picked off all the petals and just like put them all over the table. And yeah, it was just so beautiful. And he put in so much effort. He's such a romantic, and I'm so grateful. We then stopped back at the vineyard on the way home and bought like maybe 50 bottles of O'Reilly's wine, which was really, really good, by the way. I know that because I'd sampled every single one of their wines. And yeah, then we headed home, and we do actually have in that wine rack there, we do have one of the bottles of champagne that was gifted to us to celebrate their engagement. And we are probably going to keep that maybe until like our wedding day or our wedding night, and probably pop that open. I really wanted to get a professional photo shoot done, an engagement photo shoot. But it was also a little bit important to me that it wasn't at the actual time we got engaged. I wanted that to be an us moment, and then to have a fun photo shoot and sort of like not reenact it, but sort of reenact it. And so I contacted this girl via Instagram who I loved her photos, and she was so affordable, and she just seemed so sweet, and she was amazing. Like I could not have asked for better photos. I'm so happy with them, and like I highly, highly, highly recommend her if you are in like the Gold Coast or Brisbane area. I cannot remember her handle on Instagram, but I will insert it here. So that's the photographer. And I bought a gown because I had this aesthetic in my mind that I wanted it to be in the forest, in the greenery, sort of like dreary and like Forks, Washington in twilight, and be in like this really luxurious gown. So I bought this gown that I adore, one sleeve silver, and again it was freezing because the photo shoot actually took place in July, so like the middle of winter in the Gold Coast hinterland, and Gold Coast hinterland gets cold. So we basically shoot photos for like 4 hours, and we're just walking through the rainforest like pretty dirty, and I'm like in this gown trying not to get it dirty. And then we did a second outfit change where it was like more relaxed, and I was wearing like a jumper and jeans, and we had like a little cowboy hat because Leo is obsessed with R.M. Williams, and I used to work at Johnny Ringo's, and we love country music, and so that was really fun to incorporate like the cowboy hat. And we popped the champagne, and I just like, I'm obsessed with these photos. We also wanted to get into the actual lagoon, but like I drew the line there because it was so ridiculously cold. And then we actually ended up getting the final photo we took of the photo shoot was a photo in Leo's car, because he loves that car, and it's my favorite car that he has. So I guess I will just show you guys all of the photos that we got from the photo shoot. people's engagement stories if you have them, or if you didn't get engaged formally like I didn't. I would just like love to hear other people's experiences. I hope you guys enjoyed this story time, and thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys so much. Make sure you do subscribe if you are not already. Give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video.